What's happening, my happy people? I hope you're all doing amazing as possible. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, thank you very much for watching. And if you could ever be so kind, just hit that like and subscribe at the bottom. Really does help out the channel, helps it to gain traction so more people can see it. And hopefully there more people can see and share these useful tips and tricks that is in the world of motorcycles. Now, sorry I haven't been quite present on the channel for a little while. Just been hard at work, battling getting sick, coughs, colds, flus, that sort of thing, all the disgusting stuff, as I'm sure we're all going through it too. Also, because of my job, I do cut hair for a living. I'm a barber, and people are not always the most caring when it comes to bringing in the colds and sicknesses and things. So, and the last thing I want to do is jump on a motorcycle while it's freezing cold, make yourself feel worse, and yeah, it's not pleasant. Anyway, so to today's topic. It's all about getting familiar with winter riding. And if you're already out and about in these colder months, you'll be fully aware of how it feels. But do you necessarily know what to do to make it that little bit easier and a bit more pleasant? Because I know after sort of many years of going out in the winter and in some of the worst possible kit, and you know, I look back on the years that I was doing all that, and I just think, Christ, how did I even survive? How did I not catch hypothermia or whatever? You know, it's just, my hands used to be so painful, and my feet, but then again, I was also younger, so you tend to bounce back a bit by those sorts of things, and it doesn't really faze you as much, as freezing cold as it was. But now I definitely choose to have a more pleasant ride where I'm not battling the odds against sort of minus temperatures and things. So anyway, these are in no particular order. It's just a bit of a talking head video, just while I'm riding, just reeling off a few things for you to think about. And if there's anything you think I missed or anything you feel you can add, just pop it down in the comment section and help out a fellow rider. I mean, first things first, let's talk about your riding gear. And it really can change your whole ride. You know, what could be a 20-30 minutes of shivering and not feeling too great could turn into hours of enjoyment, just being able to relax on the ride. And one less thing for you to think about would be yourself. So, I mean, with the lid, there's not much you can do, close your vents, but what you can get and invest into is one of these, which is a pin lock visor, and it can help prevent your visor from steaming up when you're breathing in and out, and especially if it's colder, you're going to be exhaling and inhaling a lot more than what you would be. So honestly, pin lock visor, worth its weight in gold, well worth getting. They are absolutely fantastic. Just follow the instructions when you get one, and they are very, very easy to fit. Next thing let's talk about, you know, seeing as we're on the head, is a balaclava. Well worth investing in a balaclava. Even in the summer I wear one, just more so out of comfort. It's probably because I'm bald. I thought it's a lot more comfortable than my head touching the lid, but then again, some days in the winter when it's too hot, I just choose not to wear one. But I like one covering up my neck. In the really cold days, I will wear an extra layer around my neck just to take the wind chill off. It's a thick fleece. I couldn't tell you what the tog is or anything like that. Anyway, so moving down onto the chest, there's a number of options. Right now I'm wearing my textile jacket, and you know, it's fairly mild today, so I'm not so bothered about the wind. It's not that harsh, but when it gets really quite cold, I do have a heated vest that I can wear underneath my jacket. It is powered by a power bank, but I do plan to invest in a more premium jacket by one of the more well-known brands. I've just got to work out what brand I want to go with, because I want to plug it into the bike, but then I also want some heated gloves. So I want to be able to plug my jacket into the gloves, all of it going into the bike, just something that I can use on and off the bike with power packs and on the bike itself. So that's certainly something to, if you've got the money and you really want to enjoy winter riding, I would highly recommend. I have tried them, they're fantastic. I do like my heated vest, but the fact that I can't power it onto the bike, it's a bit of a letdown. You know, I don't tend to get much battery life out of it because it is one of the more cheaper Amazon brand ones. I've had it for a few years now, and it's okay, it works well. It's just not as great as being able to plug it straight in the bike and have permanent heat. So same again, really, moving down into the gloves. You know, I've already just brushed over the heated gloves. I mean, there are many brands out there. If you can splash out for them, do it. But if not, a decent pair of winter gloves, you know, very thick. I mean, yeah, you're going to sacrifice a little bit of feeling for the controls, but that only bothers you for the first 5 or so minutes, and you just get used to it. And especially when it's on a downpour, it's really handy. So highly recommend getting a decent pair of winter gloves. You can pick them up for a decent price. Also, because they're not the most desired gloves, they tend to be a bit more on the cheaper side compared to the summer gloves. Go figure. Finally, something that's actually good for you for cheaper. Moving down onto the trousers. Good pair of textiles. You know, some Gore-Tex. You know, it's a bit of water protection, wind protection, that sort of thing. Also, leather's pretty good for keeping the heat in, but the problem you have with leather is it's not very good with the wet. So not really much to say about the trousers, it's just something to think about. Certainly look at your wardrobe. Going out in a pair of tracky bottoms or jeans is not advised in the winter, it's just not comfortable at all. And then onto your boots. A decent pair of textile boots. You know, I usually wear these for quite a lot of the year. They're just very comfortable. But also you can get the big adventure boots which cover up, you know, your calf and so they're pretty cool too. A pair of sport bike boots. Unfortunately, there's a lot of ventilation in them. They're not the warmest, but hey, if you're hard as nails, why not? At least it's protection for your feet if you do happen to have an off. And don't forget to layer up the socks. A couple of pairs of socks on can really make a huge difference, especially when your feet are quite numb, tingling, freezing cold. It doesn't feel good to try and use the controls, especially for that rear brake. You don't want to be stomping on it and locking up that rear because, you know, it is wetter out here, it's damp. So, but more on that in a second. Okay, now moving on to the bike. If you tend to have a more naked bike, you're going to not have a lot of wind protection. The screen is not going to be very tall at all. You know, there's not fairings, you know, because as it implies, it's a naked bike. So as much fairing as you can get around you, and also a screen, if you get a nice big screen that keeps the wind hopefully off your face and off your head and off your chest as best as it can. It makes a huge difference. And also, you know, making sure that your bike is in tip-top condition. You know, checking the chain, checking your suspension, checking all the parts, especially your tyres, which is the big one. Have you got enough tread? Are they adequate tyres? Are they more sport tyres? Not that they won't work, because they will work, but certainly a good set of tyres can give you plenty of confidence. You know, a good set of sport touring tyres or winter tyres, as they say. Definitely shop around, look at some reviews for your bike, and you know, it's all about giving you extra confidence on the road. Also, when you get home from your ride, it is definitely advisable to hose your bike down. You're going to pick up all the salt and rubbish off the road. It can rust your parts, you know, very quickly. So once you've hosed it down, it's all nice and dry. Then to get a good coat of ACF 50, it's rust protection. They use it originally on airplanes. So, you know, do your research on that. It's very easy to use. Just don't get it on like any parts that need to stop quickly, like your brakes and chain and things like that. It's just not advisable. Don't do that. But for the rest of your bike, it is okay on plastics, it's okay on metals, it's okay on everything, bar the bits that you want to have contact with the road. So not on your tyres, not on your brakes. Alright, it's a big no-no. So also carrying on with the theme of the bike, good set of heated grips. So although they don't help warm up the backs of your hands, that's what your heated gloves can be for, because heated gloves don't warm up the palms of your hands, I think, for the most part, for the brands I've seen anyway, but your heated grips do. So combining the two together, awesome. It's all about keeping these mitts connected to the controls. Okay, so now let's talk about your surroundings, your environment, the tarmac, other people on the road, your lights, that sort of thing. You know, it's all well and good your bike being up to scratch, and all well and good your kit being good and you're comfortable, you're nice and alert because you're not freezing cold, but how you ride and what you ride on is absolutely key. So good lighting on your bike, make sure your lights are in tip top, you've got all your bulbs working and your brake lights working, everything like that. Also these have some extra spotlights on the front. I think they tend to blind people a bit, so I'm going to try to angle them down a little, but at the end of the day I've been seen, and I just don't stick my full beam on in people's face. So I tend, you know, to be fairly cautious about blinding people, but also first and foremost it's important for you to be able to see and be seen. So check your lighting, being seen is key, so not hanging out in blind spots of cars, or behind walls, just make yourself seen and visible. Give yourself as big a road presence as possible. And also on the really cold days, the tarmac, it's very important to look ahead as far as possible so you know what you're going to be riding over, under, into, whatever. You know, checking for diesel on the road, anything that might make you slip and slide, because it's already cold enough as it is. So it's going to be a lot harder for your tyres to warm up and keep traction, and especially if you're, say, bombing it through country lanes at 60, you're getting some heat into your tyres, it's still going okay, and then you slow down and go through a village at 30 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, that is all it takes for your tyres to maybe cool down enough to unfortunately break traction. And sort of carrying on really on tarmac as well, when it becomes into sort of the minus temperatures, it's when you start having ice on the road, so black ice and whatever, slush and slud and whatever. You go under sort of shaded areas where the rest of the roads might be a bit more thawed out. But underneath the trees is where the sun hasn't quite got to it, hasn't thawed out that black ice, and you're unknowingly riding over that black ice, and there is not an awful lot you can do about black ice other than to stay calm and just ride over it, keep it upright as possible, no anchoring on the brakes, no anchoring on the throttle, just keeping it as calm as possible is the key really. Also, it's definitely worth checking your weather app before you leave to know about rain forecast, snow, anything like that. Also, if you have invested into Kali Moto, and if you haven't yet, I certainly do advise to, but on there is a rain radar, which is fantastic. It can let you know where it's coming from and roughly what time. It's pretty accurate, so then you can sort of plan your route accordingly or plan your ride out. So well worth checking that out. Kali Moto, absolutely fantastic piece of kit. If you go for the premium, then you will get that rain radar. I plan to use it a lot more next year and do some random rides on the channel, get a little bit lost with you and flick around some twisties, that sort of thing. So I think that'd be pretty cool. So you've checked your weather, you're pretty confident, you're happy with where you're going, and it's always advisable as well to just contact, or at least make sure that other people know where you are to be at what time roughly. So if anything happens on your ride, any emergencies or anything, at least they can sort of think, oh, okay, they were supposed to be here by now, why they're not? And then they start getting curious and calling around and whatever. You know, if you're in an accident, for example, as horrible as that may be, you hopefully will have somebody there who could use your phone, speak to whoever's trying to get hold of you. So there's definitely that. Using your intercoms, having intercoms is great, because at least then if someone calls you while you're on the ride, you can just let them know, so that way no one's panicking and worrying. So now let's start to talk more about your techniques of riding, because you're not necessarily going to ride the same hooligan way as you might do during the summer. So you're not going to be so ham-fisted with the throttle, you're not going to be anchoring on it so much, you're not going to be slamming on those brakes, because you're going to be a lot more steadier and you want to be more ahead of the game. So there's no point sort of anchoring on your brakes in a big sloshy bit of mud on the road and snow and just anything that may help you brake traction. So you need to be planning ahead a lot more. And when it comes to your braking, if you haven't seen it yet, go and take a look. I'll pop it up in the corner, have a look after this video. It's all about progressive braking. This is where it really comes in handy. This is where it's key. It's about keeping your maneuvers and your inputs as steady as possible. Like preparing for the worst, like that car there, I didn't know if he'd see me or not, so I was on the brakes, I was ready to brake harder if I needed to. I've already looked in my mirror, I knew there was someone behind me. Things like that. Staying ahead of the game. And it's good practice even in every other time of the year, but in this time of year, this is where it becomes very, very apparent. This is when you really need to be focusing. There's no point sitting there daydreaming about that argument you had with your partner at home just before you left, and you're sitting there daydreaming about it, getting all stewed up. Well, you know, you ain't got time for that. Nothing that can help you lose concentration. Your attention should be on your ride and solely on your ride, A to B. So carrying on onto techniques, taking the bends, you wouldn't necessarily take the bends the same way that you usually would either. You would usually take them either that little bit slower, or definitely you'd be taking a more upright position. So not hanging off, giving it a big Marquez, just more of a sort of leaning on your butt cheek a bit more, just bend your elbow, get your head more over to your mirror, keeping that bike upright like a compass. I've said it before in my previous video about the art of cornering. We are supposed to behave like a compass. The idea is to scrub off as much lean angle as possible, not increase, especially for on the road. The idea is that your body creates that V shape with the bike to keep that bike upright. You may feel like you look a bit silly doing it, but it's well worth practicing. I'll pop that video up in his corner too, so you have something else to go and watch. All of these things combined can really, really help you in this situation. It helps you become a lot more connected to your ride, connected to the bike, connected to the situations that happen around you, because it does. And not only that, people in their cars, you've got to appreciate that their windscreens are fogged up, they're quite distracted, people are quite miserable this time of year, and I don't blame them. It's a crap time of year, it's freezing cold, you know, it's coming up to Christmas, so people have got lack of money, so they're all miserable and whatever. So you're contending with sour feelings and lack of concentration. All things combined, they don't have to care about you on the road as much as you want them to. They don't have to. It is your responsibility to look after you. They're looking after you and you alone. Take responsibility for your actions. You can't change what other people do and think and feel. What you can do is change how you react to everything. Try not to engage in road rage, try not to get yourself stressed out. You need all that concentration power for riding. And as much as I love riding, and I'm sure you will do too, if you do not feel like riding for that day, do not beat yourself up about it. If you feel like you have to take the car, take the car. It's fine. You can ride another day. I know I don't always feel like riding. Some days I wake up a bit later than I wanted to, feel a bit lazy. I think, you know what, I don't want to wheel my bike down a gigantic long driveway. I just want to jump in my car, sit there, listen to my tunes, you know, put my nice big coat on because it's warmer, and that's what I feel like doing, and that's what I do. So, and then on other days I just feel like jumping on the bike. I feel I've got enough time, I want to, you know, I can happily get my kit on and off, and I'm okay, I'm feeling it. But there's no sense jumping on your bike if you're not feeling it. If you're not feeling it, it's going to affect your ride. You're going to feel, you know, a bit all twisted up. You're going to feel a bit, you're just not into it. So that'll affect your concentration, all your maneuvers, everything's going to be a bit cack-handed and hand-fisted and whatever. You're going to start making mistakes, and then that's when it can go wrong. So don't beat yourself up. If you don't feel like taking the bike and you have a choice, don't take the bike. If you have no choice and you have to be on the bike, because that is your one mode of transport, I've been there, I've done it. Give your head a wobble, give yourself a little shake off, try to calm yourself down as much as possible. If you feel like you're going to be late, let your boss know, let whoever know, I'm going to be a bit late, so sorry. You know, I'm trying to amp myself up for a ride, and be honest, you don't owe anybody anything, you don't owe an explanation to anyone, just get yourself right, because at the end of the day, that is your life on that motorcycle that you're taking responsibility for, and you want to make it to work and to home in one piece. Alright guys, so anyway, I do hope this advice is helpful, and like I said at the start, if you have anything you feel like could be added, anything I've missed, or in general if you agree or disagree with anything I've said, let's talk about it in the comment section. And to anybody new, if you haven't yet, like I said at the start, hit that like and subscribe. It helps my channel out no end. It helps me get these tips out to you and to a further audience, so that way more people can stay safe on the road, and that way hopefully we'll get more people back home safe and sound. If I can at least help one person, at least one, on something that could have been life-threatening, and you think, you know what, that really helped, and you make it home, then it's all been worth it. Alright guys, anyway, I'm going to cut that one there, and I will catch you all in the next one. Hope you're all enjoying your riding. Stay safe guys, peace out.